once you are able to go on the website www.classroom.google, Google Classroom is where we'd want you to go, and then you would be logging on with your North Hills email address. So it would take you to a page that would look something like this. Yours will look a little bit different, but you should have CHS argumentation. Those of you who have already accepted an invite, you got a class. Those of you who haven't accepted yet, I think it gives you the option of accept or decline. Please hit accept. Makes me feel good about myself, and that's important.
It's like signing up for party invitations if anyone actually comes.
That's only a question that he can answer. Ooh, we're up to 16. This is fun. I'll give you another minute or so. And then what we're going to do is, some of you might have already looked, but I'm going to assume people haven't. I'm going to give you a quick rundown of what we have here within the Google Classroom course. Basically, this is our hub when it comes to like some online stuff. At this point, I don't see myself putting assignments online where you need to complete them online or discussion boards or anything like that. But it makes it a heck of a lot easier when it comes to storing bookmarks, websites, resources, and things like that. So what might be a good idea for you, I think you can remember classroom.google.com, but if you want to hit the little star to bookmark it and then hit done, you should then have a CHS argumentation little tag there in your bookmark bar. If you don't have a bookmark bar, if you go over to the right side of the page, do you get 3 dots too, or are yours still lines? Like over here on the right side, and then there should be a place where it says bookmarks, and then you would want to show bookmark bar.
It's just a
Little I, okay. Is it an I or an exclamation point?
For me,
Okay.
it's exclamation because there's really a new extension.
Ooh, isn't that exciting? So, and even if you don't feel the need to put argumentation on the bookmark bar, still have show bookmark bar, because you are going to want to put something on that bookmark bar in a little bit. Bookmark bar, bookmark bar, bookmark bar. Has everyone at least been able to log on at this point? Steven, I know you had to switch computers. You're good now? All right, sounds good. All right, couple little things here for you. When you take a look at the argumentation page, I'm going to go to About. And yours might look a little bit different as student as opposed to me being teacher. So there's the stream. I don't know if yours says students or not on it. And then there's the About. There is here CHS registration information. For those of you who do want to sign up for the registration, the PIT credit, you would again want to go to the About tab. And if you scroll down, it tells you about CHS registration, class details, the COMMRC 0500. That is the official course code at Pitt. It's Communication and Rhetoric. It's an 0500 course. So if you are looking to transfer credits, they're going to ask you what's the course code. This would be the information that you would have to give them, that COMMRC 0500. The 27640-8082 number, that's our period number. So if you are registering for the CHS credit, they're going to want to know what class are you in for the Communication and Rhetoric 0500. That's where that number would come in. To register, oops, didn't mean to do that. To register, you would hit the link where it says Aspire, and that's going to take you to the Aspire page. If you have already signed up for Pitt Credit, when you would log in as a high school student, you would just log in as a returning student. You don't want to create a new account if you already have one, because you want all your credits to be together on one transcript. We don't need like 12 Just Bowens, which is going to confuse them when they try to complete a transcript. If you have not signed up through Aspire yet for Pitt Credit, they give you the option of just getting started now, and then you can just put in your information and they'll take care of the rest for it. So the Aspire website is where you would go to register. If you are taking multiple CHS classes this semester, ProbStat or something like that, you only need to give all of your forms to one teacher. You can give it to me, you can give it to Mrs. Stout, Mrs. Robleski, whoever's teaching it. Trying to think if there's any other second semester only CHS classes. Is anatomy? That's through Carlos, so that's not a Pitt one. Business Calc is year long. I think all the foreign languages are year long, as far as I know. So it's probably ProbStat and argumentation. So if you are signing up for multiple, you can just fill it out one time and give the form to me or your math teacher. When you are filling out the stuff online, there is a last page that you have to print out, get signatures. You would give that and the check. It's $235 for each class to one of your teachers. If you give it to someone else, that's fine. Just let me know that you did sign up for it so I can make sure that Caden is properly registered and all that kind of stuff. Again, if you don't sign up for the CHS credit, it does not bother me whatsoever. I don't get free flash drives for each student who signs up or anything like that. Makes no difference. It's like the Akron connection. Are you going to room with LeBron?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not for you, Jake. LeBron is not on the phone. That was convenient. I didn't even have to move. So that's where you would go on to register. If you have any questions about it, let me know. Also, at the About, I put a financial aid form, and it says fall student tuition assistance, but it would still work for the spring. If you are looking for any tuition assistance, there's a PDF then that you can hit on there, be able to print out, fill out. That would just get turned in with the registration form. So anything that you would need in that regard should be there under that About tab. Okay. Other things here then for you to be aware about, just overall setup as to what I got for the course. Most of the stuff is going to be going here on the stream. Over on the sidebar on the left under topics, I put a couple things here. Calendar we can kind of take a look at a little bit later. Steven got all excited about recording lessons and things like that. Remember, if you're ever absent for a day or something and you need to get some notes, logical fallacies and all those things that Brooke has to get caught up on, under the third tab where it says recorded lessons, if you go there, boom, there are all our recorded lessons that we have. So it's a nice, easy, quick way to try to figure out where that stuff would be at for you. Note presentations is where the prezzies are at. Quizlet links might be something that you may want to look at since you have a logical fallacy quiz set up for Friday. There is a link to Quizlet if you want to use the flashcards and things like that. Could be useful and worthwhile for you. All right. Going back to the home screen, for the top announcement, it says possible SPAR topics. I took our 4 topics that we had yesterday, the protest, immigration ban, college tuition, sugar tax, and I was trying to come up with resolutions for each one that might be debatable. So for some I was able to come up with 4, 5, I have 3 for the immigration ban. I put asterisks, 3 stars, next to one of each topic, because I thought that might be a debate that would certainly work. That's not me going, hey, that's the one that we absolutely have to do. But I wanted to throw out some options out there for folks to see, do you think any of these things would work? We can certainly still tweak some arguments a little bit to make it a little bit more debatable. But for the protests, I threw out that public protests are necessary for social progress. Social progress is certainly up there for debate as to what that would mean. But are there any of those topics or any other wordings that you think for public protest or protests in general that would be good for debatability? The number 2? Okay. And again, I'm not like tied, and we're not going to arm wrestle. Is it going to be number 2 or number 4? I'm open to whatever. So Sarah likes number 2. Any other thoughts? Like, yeah, I like number 2. Ooh, I like number 1. Ryan, you like number 5? Social medias positively impact social protests. If we sit here long enough, we can get someone to say something about every single number. 2 and 5. 2 and 5. I'm going 4. I'm trying to brownie points. That's not going to work. Meredith, what are you thinking?
I think we should try to leave away from number 3 because if it's kind of, if you end up on one side of the argument, you could already kind of.
Okay.
It's really hard.
So that's the one that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Which is, yeah, worthwhile for saying as well. Anything else? You like number 1? All those in favor, let's go 2 verse 5. All those in favor of number 2? All those in favor of number 5? Yeah, I guess we'll go number 5. Immigration ban. So I had Americans are willing to sacrifice personal freedoms for security. It is un-American to keep refugees from entering the United States. The United States is not a quote-unquote compassionate nation. Any you like or any you want to stay away from?
Stay away from number 3 because that's just pure opinion. Like yes, but
It's worded as a fact-based one, which does make it kind of tricky. But so 3 is the one that you're least a fan of.
I really want to see number 3.
Yeah.
I'm a bit see number 3. I think that could be interesting.
I like number 2.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
number 1.
I like 1.
I like 1.
Just
Okay.
2.
You like the idea of 1, but not the wording of it, or?
I don't think that it's the Americans that are sacrificing their freedoms.
And I would say one you can tie into the immigration, well, contested immigration ban. We'll see what happens. But you're not like stuck going with just the immigration ban, I guess. So I would say it's immigration ban inspired, but not regulated to it. And that could be a pro or a con, depending, which way you kind of want to go with it. I'm sorry? Of 1. 1, 2, 3. Seems like we. How many for 1? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How many for 2? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ooh, it looks like number 2 is number 3. Ryan counts for 10 votes, so number 3 wins. No, we'll go number 2. Ryan, you're not that special. How about college tuition? For number 5, since I put the star by that one, of course the teacher's going to put a star by that one. That would mean going to school for the sake of the learning itself to acquire knowledge, not job specific. Where okay, I'm going to go to major in business because I need to get the degree so that I can do something. But the idea that I want to go to school and I can take all these classes and get a liberal arts education, so I just know more stuff for the sake of knowing more stuff. Luke, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking 2 and 4.
2 and 4?
I like both of them.
I think 2, you probably would be. I think you could find the most information fairly quickly for number 2, from a student perspective. If Jess is feeling the crunch, I need to find more stuff. I think number 2 you can find a lot of arguments for fairly quickly. Number 4 might be a little bit tougher. Number 4, I don't know, background of people in here. Some folks are number people. Some people want to stay away from numbers. I feel like the loan issue, that could be intimidating for some, just about how all the numbers, interest, how that's all set up. Could be a little intimidating. that's your numbers guy to talk to. And yep, so here 2 and 4. All those in favor of 2? So that would be the worth the cost. Yeah, I think we did that one. Sorry, Aaron. And then sugar tax. So we got the restaurants not offering refills. Sugar tax is an example of government over-involvement. Servings of sugary drinks. I was thinking for restaurants for that one. Shouldn't exceed 16 ounces. Or the need for a sugar tax is proof that Americans typically make poor parents. Come on, that one's fun. Number two.
I like number 4. Because it's like always good reason to trash parents.
We're actually going to invite parents in for that debate. Should it take place? Number 2. How many for you thinking you're going to? Favor number 2. Okay. Yep. I think we got 2. All right. What's that?
Number 2 is one-sided.
Which way are you thinking? As that it is?
As
Or-
in,
Agreement?
no. Because there's no connection between taxes and, like, over-involvement.
I would say involvement from a well-being standpoint, the need to regulate, you must be healthy kind of thing. So, okay. All right, so those are our 4 topics. So what this means is, and our start date would be next Friday, so we still got plenty of time, is you would be researching these 4 topics. Potentially, though, how many arguments really do you need to be ready for? 8, okay, because it would be pro-con. However, let's say, and Martin, I'm going to use you as an example since you were just saying about the sugar tax. You said that you would not want to be in favor of it, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Martin does not want to do sugar tax and be in favor. Really, he can avoid that position because he's either going to get the option to choose topic or to choose side. So if he's going against Kendall and Kendall chooses sugar tax, I know what he's doing. If he chooses topic and one of them is sugar tax, what can he do? Not pick that one, and go with the other. So in theory, if you play your cards right, you could really kind of limit it to 7 arguments, if that makes sense. Now, you can also mess up and go, oh, I didn't think he was going to say that, and then, you get stuck with it, as does happen from time to time. But in theory, you could kind of eliminate, I don't want that argument, I don't want it pro, and then if that argument comes up, you still get to pick con, or you can still, avoid an argument. Now, if Nick doesn't want to do sugar tax pro, and he doesn't want to do college tuition con, he might still get stuck with one of those, if he has to pick topic, he's still going to have to pick one of those topics. Who knows what Caden ends up deciding for side. So, but one of them you should be able to eliminate if you do your cards right. All right? All right, the main reason why we're going through Google Classroom and where this is going to help you out, I would say, is over here at number 2 where it says Common Websites. You want to go to Common Websites. All right, first thing that we are going to, and so what you have here, you see there's Archive This, NoodleBib, which we're going to go into, library databases, and then a couple other additional websites down here at the bottom. You are allowed to also use other websites on your own, going through Google and other search engines. I'm not limiting you to only using these, but this is a good place to start. Let's go to, better do NoodleBib first. Let's go to NoodleBib, second one. So you just hit Noodle Tools, take you to a login. If it has been a while since you have logged in, your username is whatever you use to get onto the computer. So whatever, your, was it first first 3 of last name and then 4 of first name, or I don't know what it is, but however you got on the computer, you would want to type that in. And then, unless you have changed it, by default, your login password is NHSD. Now, it might ask you to revalidate here in a little bit. Mine goes directly to projects. Anyone have like you need to revalidate? Okay, good. And I'm going to hold yours up here. If your screen looks like this, did you put in the NHLIB or was it already there?
That was already.
All right. So where it's at, it has NHLIB, and then you need to put in a school library password. It's NHLIB. So just copy what is already there. And then you'll hit revalidate. It's going to ask you about graduation year, last 4 digits of phone number, all that kind of stuff. Basically, that just means you haven't used NoodleBib in a while. If you switch your graduation year to 2037, you can have access to NoodleBib for the next 20 years. If you want. I'm sorry? Shame on you. And you use the same thing as your and you didn't use it last year. Like, do you remember the last time you used NoodleBib? Okay. It's definitely saying username and not password. Okay. I'll find out and try to get you one for tomorrow. Just kind of follow along with whatever we're doing. Anyone else having issues with usernames? Okay. Once you get then to where we have projects, we're going to create a new project. I would just call it CHS argumentation. I'm going to put 2017 on mine just so it's different from all my other stuff. MLA, and then we're going advanced. And then I'm going to hit submit. If you haven't used NoodleBib this year, they just redesigned it so it might look different, but all the same features are still there. We don't have a PIT test. We don't have a PIT lab. We don't have like a PIT speech that we all have to go down and take. But PIT does give us some requirements throughout the course of the semester, the year that we have to do. One of those requirements is you are responsible for accumulating 50 sources throughout the course of the semester. Doesn't mean you cite 50 sources in all your speeches, but it means throughout the course of the semester, you have a catalog of 50 sources that you have researched, considered, thought about using. We're going to house those in NoodleBib. It's the best way of doing it. It's easier than making a whole bunch of works cited pages. It's basically the last assignment of the semester for you. If you have your 50 sources, you get 50 points. If you have 47 sources, you get 47 points out of 50. It's not hard to do. It's best to kind of go in little increments. You don't want to be stuck 2 weeks before the end of school only having 3 sources, and then you got to stick in like 47 sources at the very end. Luke, which route did you take?
It was mixed.
It was a mix.
Initially I was on top of it, but then like it sort of tapered off towards the end and I had to do 25 in class.
Which is a pain to do.
Yeah.
Just stay with it and keep adding them as we use it. And I will show you ways that makes it pretty easy to kind of stay on top of it. So your thing has been created, your project. One thing that we want to do here in the middle section, you see there's project details, there's also sharing and collaboration. We're going to do some sharing with a project inbox. So you're going to go to the little blue share with a project inbox, and then you are going to start to type, I don't know if it's going to work for me since I own it, no. If you start to type CHS, does argumentation pop up? And it should say spring in all caps. That's who you want to share with. And then you would put your name. What that does is it gives me access to your database of sources. I'm not checking in every Friday to see how many sources you have. I'm not going to check in, boy, Evan, this looks like a terrible source. Why did you use this one? But it simply gives me access to see what you have so that at the end of the year, you don't have to print something out for me and give me all your sources. I can simply just go in online and see what you have. So currently, we got 16 people. Yay. And it's probably getting updated. Oh, Kendall, you got first billing. How about that? Isn't this exciting? Hey, Luke, you're down at the bottom.
Which
That one. The one, you know, who did this before. All right, so we're up to 22. I think there's 24 of you. I bet if I refresh.
It's not popping up for me.
What do you mean it's not popping up for you? Oh, and Brooke can't do it because she can't. Under, like you go to,
CHS, it's just not popping.
well, that's not good. We'll take a look at it tomorrow.
More of it, it shouldn't pop up.
CHS argumentation. Did we get it?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. All right. There's nothing else you have to do for that project at this point, but this is now the project that you have open so that I can now check to see what you have. So I am going back now to my common website tab. The first one up there says archive this. Brooke, I don't know if this will work for you. I don't know if you have to be logged in or not. It still might work. But you see it says archive this, Noodle Tools. It's going to take you to this page. Brooke, it looks like it still might work because I don't think I'm signed in. You have this little archive this button. All you need to do is drag it up to the toolbar, and now it should say archive this. So click on the little archive this, drag it up to the toolbar, you'll see the little green plus sign, and then you let go, and it should say archive this. That work? Operator error. Can't drag it? Or?
yeah.
I blame the trackpad, because the Acer trackpads are annoying. Jake, I just made your life easier. You're welcome. Don't ask why, just say thank you. You're welcome.
You just, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
You just have to drop it right next to orientation.
How this works, I'm just going to random website. I'm going to go to Post-Gazette. You don't need to go anywhere. You can just simply watch, but I'll show you how this works. So I'm doing research on some kind of topic. Hey, what do you know? We got a rally against confirmation of Education Secretary DeVos. So I'm going to click on this. Maybe I'm looking at public protests and things like that as one of my topics. I'm going to wait for it to load. This works for most websites. If you have a website, Becca, I'll be with you here in a moment. If you have a website that has a little padlock by it, it's secure. It'll go HTTPS. This will not work. Most websites, though, it does work. I have an article that I want to use. I want to cite it. I would cite your articles even before you get too in-depth with it because you're simply looking to see if this is going to be worthwhile for you to take a look at. I hit my archive this button. When I hit archive this, maybe, there we go. This little thing here is you're going to get a little pop-up box that's going to start for loading. It tells me the title. I have to hit my project. I'm going CHS Argumentation 2017. Annotation I'm leaving blank because for some reason anytime I type anything in there it does not work. And then I hit save. What happens now when I go to my projects, and sometimes you do have to refresh. The more eyeballs watching a website, the slower they load. I think so. Before, this said 0 sources. Now I have 1 source. So when I go now into my argumentation, that source will be in there. So I did not have to go through and enter in specific information. It already has it linked up. So now I go to my sources, and here will then be my 1 source. Now, it sometimes does not give complete information. I still might need to add a couple little things. but it's a great way to kind of bookmark pages because it will save an archive of the website. It'll also give you a link to the website. So Evan could be looking at like 6 different websites. It's the end of the period. He might not remember them all, doesn't want to bookmark them. He could hit archive this for each one, and they would now be saved into his NoodleBib account. What I do need to do with any of the websites I go through archive this, and any of the websites really in general that I use, I do need to make some edits. So I'm going to go in. It already has the title and things like that. It has the URL. Above website, I would add Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Those are basic little things that I would be able to put on. One thing, though, I'm going to disconnect AirPlay and try to come back. At the bottom of any of your sources, there is a annotation, yay, that you use. I need you to write an annotation for it. Luke, how many sentences?
Was it like 1, 2, or 3? Something like
Yes.
that. Yeah.
2 sentences. First sentence, what are you using this for? So for your first sentence for these sources, you could just go, this is for my pop culture SPAR project. And then the second thing, why are you using the source? Or why are you considering the source? This source is giving me information about current public protests against the Secretary of Education. I don't need facts, I don't need note cards, but I just want to know, why are you taking a look at this source? If you do 50 annotations, or if you do 50 sources with no annotations, half credit at the end of the semester, 25 out of 50. So it's a half point for the annotation, it's a half point for the source itself. Becca, I didn't forget about you.
I don't have a toolbar down my
So what you would want to do, where I think for you, we said it's a little exclamation point over here on the right side of the browser. You would want to go to bookmarks and then show bookmark bar, and then it should pop down, I guess. Okay? And so then you would just drag the archive this up into it. So you do have to give me at least 2 sentences for all your annotations. That's probably the part that people tend to forget about the most. But again, it shouldn't really be a big deal. But if you do the archive this, it'll give you information, most of what you need for the website, date of publication, and then the name of the website, like Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, are usually the things that you need to kind of update for it. Also, for some reason, titles, it tends to keep things lowercase. And notice you do get little concerns popping up about, hey, your website might not be, properly cited. But the archive this, it's a great way to keep track of your websites. When it comes to sources, you cannot use, what am I going to say? Wikipedia. Good. Now, you can go to Wikipedia. That's fine. I don't have a problem with you going to Wikipedia. I don't want you using secondary sources. I want you using the primary source. Now, what does Wikipedia give you at the bottom?
Primary sources.
Footnotes, sources. You can certainly use those links for it. I have no problem with that whatsoever. It's just making sure they're coming from, credible places. But if Wikipedia cites other websites that gives you a direct link, you can use it certainly as a gateway to check out other stuff. I have no problems with that whatsoever. Just make sure that you properly cite, annotate, give all that information for it. So secondary sources like reference sources you can certainly still go to. I just want you making sure you're going to the direct primary place for it. Okay? Any questions? I know we're coming up on time here. For common websites then, going back to the class, we'll look at this a little bit more so tomorrow. But there are databases through the library. Opposing Viewpoints is pretty good. SIRS ends up being pretty good. And then there's also International Debate Association, procon.org, and then down here, New York Times Room for Debate. I'll show you the International Debate Association. Show that one to you real quick. I think it's like your 4th option down here. It says idebate.org. These are all credible places that you can look. They are also primarily secondary Wikipedia type sources where it houses lots of information, but there are footnotes, source information within those websites that you can use, assuming they properly load for you and don't say about blank. It was working during homeroom. All right, not working. For the library one where it says NH Library, we'll take a look at it tomorrow. However, if you are doing this at home, you could get asked for passwords. I've given you the library database passwords document right here beneath the link. So if you click on that link, it'll open up the document. You can see the passwords that you're going to need for the various places. The ones that most people are probably going to use is going to be SIRS with our good old LupSwag, or LupSwag, however we say it, and then Opposing Viewpoints one up here at the top as well. But if at home it's asking you for passwords, you do have access to all of those passwords simply through the Google Classroom. So you should have archived this on the bookmark bar. You should have CHS argumentation. Log off before you close the lid. You can take them back. Please just plug them back in. Tomorrow we're going to look at a few things, and then you are going to be off on your own tomorrow and Friday so far as researching, and we'll go over due dates and all that kind of stuff.